This is Nan McKay, and I would like to introduce you today to Monika Moss Gransberry. She's a best-selling author, a self-mastery coach, and organizational consultant. She serves as president and CEO of MKM Management Consulting. She has dedicated her talents to helping organizations and individuals create powerful roadmaps to their vision. So welcome, Monika.
Thank you, Nan. It's so wonderful to be here. I really appreciate being able to share with your viewers today.
Well, Monika, you've worked with organizations with over 4,000 employees in 54 countries. What is one of your most memorable experiences?
Oh, wow. There's so many. When I think of the organization you're referring to, it was just a brilliant, fun, exciting project because we were doing a visioning process across their whole footprint with all of their employees participating. And it was so empowering. And just one little story. So we were in Nicaragua after one of the meetings, and the driver that was taking us to the airport said, "I'm so proud and excited because my picture from my group in the meeting is going to the regional meeting." And like he was just beaming with pride, excitement. It was so, I was like, this is the work that I love doing. We're really touching people and have them participate in shaping the organization and shaping what's about to be created. So that was my probably one of many exciting moments in my organizational work.
How do you do it? Do you do it like on a flip chart, or how do you draw it out for people?
Well, it's an interesting process. Our company, we use a combination of the Institute of Cultural Affairs Technology of Participation, which is a participatory brainstorming discussion process, and Gestalt Organizational Systems Development Center, which is where I'm a practitioner, a certified practitioner, and I'm also on the faculty of that center. And so the combination is beautiful of tracking human process and intervening where people are skipping steps or interrupting themselves. And then the technology of participation, which asks that everyone participate in the creation of whatever the plan is, because most of my work is around strategic planning. And it's, so it's brainstorming, it's flip charting, it's discussing. We have what we call the magic sticky cloth that goes up on the wall so we can move all the ideas around. And I think the thing I love most about it is when you're done, you don't have to sell the plan because everyone has participated in it. They can look on the grid detail and see their idea and how it rolled up into the strategy and the vision for the organization.
Well, Gestalt has been around a long time. Tell us a little bit about that and how you got involved with them.
Well, I was starting to do life mapping work for not just myself. And I thought, I have no training in working with individuals. I had good instincts, don't get me wrong. And I had good skills with coaching leaders and, working in organizations. And I went to do this self-mastery, self-reflection, self-work. I said, I need I don't want to do any harm. So I need some grounding. I need a foundational theory. And around the same time, I had moved to Cleveland and I was at some expo. And I met a woman and her husband who both worked taught at the Gestalt Institute of Cleveland, which is where both at the time it was the Clinical Center, the Intimate Systems Center, and the OSD Center resided under this umbrella. And she said, I don't know why I've been doing this, but I've been saving a partial scholarship. We start in 2 weeks. Would you like to participate? I can give you this much towards the tuition. Because we met, they had a booth. And I was like, yes, I'll do it. And it just led me on this fabulous adventure. One, I got a lot of my personal work done. I got rid of a lot of baggage. I learned so much about myself, about how to intervene with individuals, about natural human process and how we interrupt ourselves, how we make contact, how our presence can impact a room. And then I segued into the OSD Center and really was able to, how would I describe it? It gave me like a mobile by which I could hang all the things I had been seeing, and I didn't have words to describe. And the words that Gestalt gave me were words that were non-judgmental, that weren't loaded with my interpretation. And that has been life-changing.
Well, I think the process of life mapping is just fascinating. How are you doing this over Zoom, or are you doing it?
Yes, I am. I've done workshops over the years in person, and we started this summer an online learning community. And so we put a bunch of stuff we've been recording over time on the platform. And we had, a few years back, I had designed some digital courses to go with the books, both the life mapping book and the book, The Technology of Doing, Creating, and Being. And so we had these courses and we put them on the platform, and we started, people can join and become members of our community. And it's interesting because all of my coaching work with entrepreneurs and leaders has always been virtual. At first it started on the phone on a conference call line, and then it segued to Zoom probably about 5 years ago. So not a lot has changed with my coaching work. Now, we did our first strategic plan on Zoom last year in the middle of in the middle of COVID. I'll just put as few words around it as possible. And what we're finding, we are doing with our premium members, we are doing a weekly mastermind to support and augment the digital courses, because you take a digital course, you go through, you do the homework, and you still have questions. Or how do I bumped into this, how do I deal with this mindset issue or this challenge I'm having now that I've started practicing this practice called life mapping. And so that's been going very well. It's been very receptive. People are joining every week. We're getting new members, and it's been so much fun. Now we just finished our public session for the spring equinox, and we'll have another one for the summer solstice. We do that about 4 times a year as the season changes, to support both our members and anyone else who would like to come and be with a group of like-minded people who are supporting each other in a positive way for their own personal development and self-mastery. And that was really, that we've been doing virtually from the inception. And so it's nice to have Zoom where we can show some slides and we can talk to each other and see each other. And, but I've been doing this a long time, even before Zoom was a thing. So it's good.
Tell me a story about an individual that you worked with in the past. No names, of course, but what impact or outcome did you have for that person?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I just was wrapping up with a client last week, and we were doing good closure, as coaches always do. And she said, you know, I never had a life coach. I don't know anybody in my world or realm that has a coach or that gets support in this way. And I'm telling you, I went from, I feel like a whole person. I went from feeling like half a person to a whole person. And I'm clear that I can have the things that I want. And part of her work was claiming what she really wanted and not thinking she had to do in this third act that she's going into what was expected of her. She'd done her duty, so to speak, as a mom, as a daughter, helping take care of her mom, as a professional. You know, she was in the legal field, and she's looking at what is her retirement career and what does she want to do next. And it's not any of those things. And, you know, we walked around together step by step until she figured out what's the next thing for her. And basically shifting her mindset so she could accept having it. And it was right there. She was already doing some of it already and didn't realize it, that it could grow into and support her. So, yeah.
I think this is a whole area for people that are getting older. They retire out of the job that has been their career, and they're like, okay, now what's next? And I call it refiring rather than retiring, because they're looking to do something different, something that really will turn them on in a different way than just simply the thing they've been doing for a long time. Have you found any of that?
Absolutely. We did a whole life mapping session on mapping out your third act. You know, like as we embrace our elderhood, we're still vital, we're still happy, we're still able to do a lot of things, and we don't want to work so hard, and we want a little more fun in our lives. And so what does that look like? And what is it that you can create for yourself that you can sustain over time as you age? But I find the same thing is happening for women in their 30s and 40s. They have made decisions that were important decisions, so to take care of their family, their children, and then they're mid-career and saying, okay, this I like, this I don't like, this is fulfilling, this is not fulfilling. How can I go to the next level, create a better lifestyle? Even if it's not a career change, sometimes it's just, how do I recalibrate so that I'm taking care of me as much as I'm taking care of others? Especially as women, we do a lot of that. We put everybody first. I remember I was in the middle of the discernment process around divorce with my first husband. And I realized one day, I was writing in my journal and I realized I wasn't first on anybody's list, not even mine. And I was like, oh my God, how can I expect others to make me a priority if I don't do it for myself? So really sharing and growing together around these different aha moments, having some structure by which to start to sort out the learning that we're getting as living human beings from our experiences, and claiming the things that we really want, that we think will bring us joy and happiness and security and safety and all the things that are important to us. Really figuring out what is important, and how do I want to live my life? I remember when I did and this is in the book, my first ideal day exercise. So my ideal day is an exercise that's in the book. It's part of our life mapping process. And actually, I do lots of them. Like when I do face-to-face workshops, I'll always do another one because there are many possible days and they're fun. So my ideal day, when I wake up, I'm going to go out on the patio, onto the veranda and exercise and meditate. And I'm going to do this and I'm going to wear this. And I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to have a mom's helper and she's going to be getting the kids' breakfast already done. And I'm going to get my little smoothie and have my fruit and go into my office and go, oh, look at this. Checks in the mail. Yeah, so I had this whole beautiful story, that ended with friends and dessert and wine and going upstairs with my husband, and just beautiful, just the ideal, beautiful, everything perfect. I'm at the peak of my success. Everything is wonderful day, one of those. And then I said, oh, I can have some of that right now. I just got to change my schedule. I just need to change my mind. I could get up a little early before the kids get up and do my little exercise and meditation. I don't have to wait till I have a balcony. And then I got divorced and life happened and things were going well. I was getting it together and I got a house. I finally bought my first house. And I was like so proud. I was taking my assistant up to the house so we could figure out where we're going to put the office, what's going to go where, and how we're going to organize everything. And I pulled up in the driveway and I was like, and I burst into tears. And she was like, what is going on? She was freaking out. And I was like, oh my God. I had a balcony off my master bedroom. And of course I'd seen it. Of course I'd been in the house, but it never hit me that my ideal day was manifesting before my eyes. And so there's something about writing it down. There's something about paying attention to it and getting clear about what you really want, that then the universe can join you in bringing all the different components together to get you what you want. So that's my testimony.
That sounds fascinating and definitely something that almost anybody could use. Now, you really have an expertise in a lot of areas. So tell us about some of the things that you do other than just the life coaching, which is big, but what else do you do?
Well, some of my clients come to me for coaching for business to help them establish, grow, and develop their business and move it to the next level. So one of the, in addition to strategy, figuring it, I just help them figure it out. So some of it is figuring out your back office and the client experience and the process in the back behind the scenes that helps you deliver a great experience to your clients and customers. Some of it is like, what are the processes and procedures that need to be in place so that I can be effective and efficient and compelling with my work, and not be burdened by a lot of stuff. Some of it is just, like I remember when I figured out, I need 30 minutes between appointments. I need 30 minutes between appointments so I can write out my notes and I can go to the bathroom and get a glass of water or a snack before the next one happens. And I can do about 4 coaching clients a day. And those little things become big things like this. So, okay, I need this kind of cushion. Now I got it. So I'm not exhausted and I'm not getting to the end of the day and I got 5 or 6 follow-up emails to do when I'm tired. They've been done efficiently and effectively throughout the day. The other thing is then when I start saying, what's my capacity and what kind of pipeline do I need coming into my business? Or if it's one of my clients, what's your capacity? I just had this conversation this morning. What's your real capacity? You've got a 5-year-old. And so how many clients can you really do in a day? Oh, you can do 1 project a month. You can have 2 clients a month. So how do we create a pipeline that delivers you your ideal lifestyle in a way that keeps you sane, that is not based on someone else's version of success when you're a young mother? That doesn't make sense. And so she's recalibrating her thoughts, like, what is success? Because she was a high-powered businesswoman. She was, an executive at a company before she quit to have a baby. And now she's trying to get back in the game, but she wants to start her own business. She started her own business. She has started. She just didn't know it. So she was like, I want to get on the court. I want to get some clients. I said, well, let's talk about that. So what's the offer? Who is the client? Who are you most situated to serve? What do you want to give them that would be valuable? And she figured that out. And she was like, yeah, well, if I do this and I do this, and this is what I did for my sister, my cousin, my auntie, myself, integrating children into adult spaces so that it's seamless and everybody feels good. And I was like, awesome. And so her next job was, what's the process? How do you chunk it down into 90-minute segments? Because you got a little girl and she's in kindergarten, she's in nursery school 4 hours a day, or 3 hours a day, or whatever it is. So that's how much time you have to be with clients. So plus travel. So we figured it out. So then we figured out the pricing, and now she's ready to launch. And she's got a little list going of who she's gonna call first and how she's gonna get referrals. And, and what she said to me actually this morning was, having someone help me stay focused and get out of my head and stop second guessing myself, and who knows something more than me so that I can move fast. She said, I moved faster in the last 3 sessions than I would have moved in the last year. I've gotten more done. And, what do I need to do to keep working with you? I was like, well, you just re-up and we'll schedule time to do the next thing. But my coaching is very goal-oriented. With our life mapping members, we're asking them to do a 90-day action plan based on their life map so that they're moving into action step by step. Little actions, not big giant things overnight. That's not how the way it works. But you make one step, the universe makes one, you say this, you are open yourself up to something wonderful. Next thing you know, you meet somebody, and then you meet the next person, and then they say, oh, there's this opportunity, and you find yourself doing something. And you're like, oh, I never thought I could do that. Oh my God, now I'm doing it more. And it feels good, and you get this momentum going. And then you get some support so you don't miss some piece of the picture that's important to sustain it. And that goes for business or personal development or leadership or your job or your own business. It's all the same, because like my good friend Ragat is fond of saying, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So when I went to Gestalt, I became a better business owner, I became a better consultant, but I became a better daughter, I became a better mom, I became a better wife, I became a better human, because I knew more about myself. I had released baggage. I had gotten clear about who I was, what I was doing, what I wanted, how I wanted to do it, where the boundaries were. And that's an ongoing, lifelong process, as you know, Nan.
Very much. Well, speaking of lifelong, I tend to think that for most people, their early life kind of affects who they are today. Is that true for you?
Oh, yeah. And it's so interesting because, you think about if you have siblings. Oh, excuse me. Oh, spring is here. If you have siblings, you're all so different. How did that come out of the same household, the same parents, the same experience, and one's going this way, so absolutely yes. And then and now I'm watching my grandchildren and their little personalities to develop, and their interests are so different, and their way of getting what they want is so different. And it's such a joy to watch and say, oh, how is that working for you? That's not working anymore. That's because you're 7 now, you're not 5. That's not going to work. You can wash these dishes. So let's try a new strategy. Think of something new. Keep my mind active and lit up. They're so cute. Oh my God. It's been the joy of COVID to have my grandkids and my daughter around the corner, and I get to know them. So anyway, so yes to the answer of your question. And the beautiful thing is to embrace those differences and say, okay, given who you are and who you may want to be, what's needed now?
Well, how did your early life affect who you are today?
Oh, I can't wait to tell you that. I'm so sorry about this sneezing thing. So, how far back to go? Well, a couple of things. My father, my parents were first for this, first to do that, first to do something else. So my mother was the first in her family to go to college. And she's 84 now, so this was in the 50s. My dad he wanted to be a lawyer, but he ended up being a civil rights worker. And he led sit-ins when he was in law school in Louisiana. They wrote a whole article about it, a whole documentary on it called the Southern 16. There were 16 of them. They went and did a sit-in at a Woolworths or whatever the drugstore was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And he got expelled from law school because back then, if you got arrested, you were expelled from school. You could not be arrested. So they tried to get him into another law school, but he ended up working for the NAACP for a while, and then his whole career shifted and he worked for community organizations as a leader for the rest of his life. The way that impacted me is I had a very keen sense of social justice, but I wanted to be a movie star. I watched a lot of movies. I was like, I want to be that. I want to do that. Ginger Rogers, yes, that's me. Diane Carroll, that's me. All those movies back in the day. So I went into theater. But once you do something, you learn something. So I learned a lot of things. I learned that I had a passion for writing. I learned that I had a passion for exploring very complex, difficult issues in society. And I was really interested in how people thought and how it affected them. And because I was interested in how I had been affected by all these different things going on in the world. And, whatever my parents did or didn't do, you know how that goes when you're 20. So I went to pursue that and I got to New York. And I found out at Howard that I played bad politics. I had a big mouth. I talked a lot of trash, and I ended up producing more shows than I was in. And I found out that I don't like auditioning. Well, that's the life of an actor. All you do is audition every day and get rejected 15 times before you get a yes. Well, I didn't want to live like that. So I went into producing. But if you're the producer, you need to be the money person. So I was like, well, what can I do to make a living while I'm producing? And I thought I could be a consultant. And I found this little organization that was looking for a part-time consultant. And they were also looking for a program manager, to run their workshops. And I thought, I want to be a consultant. Well, luckily for me, the woman who was the director had been in the theater. She had been a business manager for an off-Broadway theater company. So when I came in with my little resume, my little outfit and everything to interview, she knew who I was. She knew who I was more than I did. And I was like, I'm here to interview for the consultant job. She's like, we have this other position. I think you'd be perfect for that. And I needed a job, so I said yes. And I basically got mentored. It was called, at the time, the organization was called Alliance for Nonprofit Management. No, it was called the Support Centers of America. They merged and became the Alliance for Nonprofit Management later, which is an association, professional association. But at this time, they were doing programs. They had offices across the country, and this was the New York office. And I started working there, and it was like back when you had to hand collate workshop materials. So, I was busy because we were having a workshop every week. I was like, every night, I was getting as fast as as the machine before there was a collator on the machine. So I got the New Jersey office was a little shorthanded, and I started working for her in my off time. And she started mentoring me into consulting. So I took every workshop that we offered because I'm a voracious learner. And I started working with her, and I would co-facilitate with her, I would mentor with her. And that's how life mapping got started, because we said, oh, we need to do for ourselves what we do for our clients. And we locked ourselves in the conference room one Saturday and just started to map out, like, what's our vision? What's this? What's that? How are we going to do this? How are we going to get over? What are the things getting in our way? And this, after iterations, here we are, 30 years later.
And still loving it. And that's the important part.
Yeah, well, it's working for me.
Yeah. Now, you've written 2 books, and one of them is the life mapping.
Mm-hmm.
And I am particularly concerned about women's issues today, particularly as a result of the COVID period. Many women seem to be pivoting, but they're not sure which direction to take. Can you talk about that with me?
Yes, because they're leaving the workforce. How it's impossible parenting, as one lady said at a conference I was at, a virtual conference. It's impossible parenting. Stop wondering why you're not doing it the way you think you ought to do it, because it's not doable. I think what's happening in the world actually is we are getting more connected to our spirit. This period of being at home and not being out in the world, it made us hang out with ourselves, and we didn't have all the distractions of going to the bar, going out to eat, being with girlfriends, getting our nails and toes done, or whatever else we were doing, shopping. Well, people are still shopping. They're getting boxes every day at their house, but we didn't have as much distraction, and we had to be with the kids that we had created. Sometimes that was joyful. Sometimes that was a hot mess. Right, exactly. And so then we got a reality check during this sacred pause of we can't go anywhere and we're sequestered at home. We got a reality check, and we start getting in touch with, what do we really want? Do I really want to go back to working 70, 80 hours a week, and my kids left in summer, and my kid is being raised by other people and the television and the video game? Do I really want that? Maybe yes, because I don't like who I created. Maybe no, because it was not sustainable in the first place. And now that I've had a break from it, I don't want to go back. And I can't homeschool my child and go to work outside of my home every day when my kid's at home. How am I I can't do it. And if my company's not letting me work remotely because I don't have that kind of job, I'm stuck. I got to choose. So now how do I make a revenue so that everybody can eat every day? How do I bring in money? Well, with this thing we have invented called the internet, there are a myriad of choices that did not exist before. And so we're all pivoting. All my business clients, I teach with the 10,000 Small Business Program by Goldman Sachs. They're all everybody's pivoted in the last year in some way, shape, or form. Some, the pivot made them a ton of money. Some, the pivot allowed them just to survive long enough for this thing to start to shift. And either way, those are good pivots. So I think women especially are getting more in touch with, what do I really want? How do I really want to live? How am I going to take care of myself and do extraordinary self-care instead of wear myself out like my mother or my grandmother, doing stuff just because other people need it? I have a choice. I have a choice. So what choice will I make? And if I can help women in the smallest bit see their choices and make good choices for themselves using life mapping or my coaching or whatever tools I have, I am down to do that. And that's my contribution to the world.
Well, I totally agree with you. And I think it's important today to focus on the right things. And we do have to focus because we've got so much going on. So, what are some of those for you personally today?
What am I focused on?
Yeah.
Making a way for the next 7 generations in my family. And in order to do that, the world has to be okay. Because where are they going to go? You know, like, okay, we've made a way, but it's chaos everywhere else. Okay, now, so how do we, you know, my husband and I, we really have been, you know, we got through our first 5-year plan. He got retired. We started a second business, like, yada. We did everything we thought we were going to do. We're in the midst of it. It's work. And we said, well, what are we doing this for? Well, we realized we want to leave something to our children, our grandchildren, and those unborn. How do we do what our ancestors did for us as we become closer and closer to being an ancestor, which is make a way for the next one and the one after that. So my grandfather was born on a plantation in 1886. His mother had been a slave and had birthed 12 children, little biracial children, with the plantation owner, Mr. Moss. Half of them ran away from home and passed for white, because that way they could have a life. He got a job on the railroad. That allowed him to educate his children. He mortgaged his house to build the school for Black kids so he could educate his children and the children in the community. They went off to be teachers and doctors and lawyers and whatever. Well, my dad was supposed to be a lawyer, but he became a community worker, which was just as important. He made a way for a whole bunch of folks. He don't even know their name anymore. And he made a way for me. My mom was a first. She was a scientist when they told you have to choose between a career or children or family. And she was like, no. So I get to do the same thing. And I get to teach that to my children. They either learn it or they don't. I don't know which one's what's happening just yet. The jury's still out. And nurture these grandbabies. Like, we made that commitment, and then we found ourselves sheltering in place with 4 small children. And we was like, oh, that's how the universe is making sure we make a way for the next 7 generations. They're right here. Okay. Yes. And we've gotten so much joy and kept us from just sitting on the couch getting fat. So, okay. So we got to move. They move all day long. They don't stop moving till bedtime. And it's been just the best thing ever. So that's what I'm focusing on now. How do we make a way? So I'm not going to march because I got a bum knee, a tender knee, and some things going on with my body these days as I'm aging and eldering. But I can support younger people, activists, with their strategy, with their self-care, with whatever that's needed. And I do coach a bunch of young activists who are trying to make a difference in the world. And I'm so grateful for them, because I'm not going to do that, but I can do some other things that will be helpful. I can hold space for them. I can help them with their goals and their vision, and help them shape the world that's coming.
This has been so interesting. At the end of the day, what would you have most liked people to have gotten from your interview?
Hope. There is hope. You can do whatever it is you put your mind to it, no matter what obstacles may seem to be in the way. When you think positively, not in a hokey kind of way, but when you say nice things to yourself, when you treat yourself with grace and care, when you treat others the same way, and you start moving on your goals, however small those steps may be, you can make a difference in your own life and whoever is in your realm. And you can be happy and healthy and whole. It's possible. It's your right. You just have to get out of the way to do it. And if you need help, there's lots of help everywhere. Just look around. Everybody's a coach. Or you can come visit us at Life Mapping online.
Well, thank you so much. It has been wonderful talking with you. And you have so much to offer people that I think it's just exciting to see where you could go with all this.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share. It's been just wonderful.
It's been great. Thank you.